Just over 2 years have passed since the UK government compelled Abramovich to sell Chelsea, and a consortium of US-based investors took over as the club's owner. However, recent reports have stated that these joint owners have fallen out. So in this video, we will discuss why have Todd Boehly and Behdad Eghbali fallen out. Let's get into it.
Yes, it is very expensive club, but you know what, Manus? Premier League football is big business, isn't it? And we know that that's the way that it works. And as you just said there, that a group led by former Guggenheim Partners President Todd Boehly and ClearlakeCapital have agreed to buy the Premier League football club for £4.25 billion.
The history of the ownership. The Todd Boehly ClearlakeCapital Consortium officially completed the purchase of Chelsea, ending Roman's 19-year spell running the club on May 30, 2022. The total investment cost £4.25 billion, $5.2 billion, with £2.5 billion, $3.2 billion, being the sale price of the club, while there was an agreement in place that £1.75 billion, $2.1 billion, would be invested over 10 years. The club published a lengthy statement which began, "Roman has completed the sale of Chelsea Football Club and related companies to an investment group led by Todd Boehly and ClearlakeCapital." It then went into detail about the complicated process involved in selling the club after it was first put up for sale in early March 2022. The statement read, "The process was extremely thorough and completed on an accelerated timeline. Many described the proposed transaction as unprecedented, and it was. A transaction such as this would normally take 9 months to a year to complete. We did it in less than 3 months. The club received more than 250 inquiries from proposed purchasers, held detailed discussions with more than 100 individuals and entities, and entered into 32 confidentiality agreements which allowed for due diligence with respect to confidential club information. Ultimately, the club received 12 credible bids, resulting in 4 and then 3 final bidders. The Todd Boehly and ClearlakeCapital Consortium was chosen as the preferred bidder." The statement concluded, "We would like to thank all of the bidders for their engagement, effort, and participation in this process. We'd also like to thank our men and women footballers, the staff of both teams, everyone in our academy, and in particular Thomas Tuchel and Edmund Hayes for their patience and support during this process. And of course, thank you to all our partners, staff, and fans during this difficult phase for the club." The statement was put out by the former Chelsea board as a final statement before the Boehly takeover, ended by thanking Roman Abramovich 19 amazing, unforgettable years. Initially, the 30% owner of Chelsea, Todd Boehly, gave the impression that he was in command, although the main owners, US private equity firm ClearlakeCapital, held a 61.5% share. Chelsea went on a spending binge in the summer of 2022, acquiring players like Raheem Sterling, Koulibaly, and Aubameyang, with Boehly serving as an interim, inexperienced sporting director. That year also saw Graham Potter take over from Thomas Tuchel as head coach, as the manager was deemed as not ideal for the project. Having co-founded Clearlake with Jose Feliciano, Behdad Eghbali appears to be very much in command currently after an almost overwhelming amount of transfers and a change of head coach. Chelsea's primary owners, Eghbali and Boehly, are interested in buying each other out now that Boehly has been essentially sidelined. Though they were never the closest of friends, Eghbali and Boehly seem to be getting along less now than when they initially came to Stamford Bridge. Since they are both extremely successful, tenacious businessmen, it makes sense that they would each have different opinions on how the club ought to be operated. They maintained their unity in private talks until last year, but it is now evidence that Boehly is wary of the team's new hiring approach and a lack of progress made on Stamford Bridge's renovation. Nevertheless, Boehly is still heavily involved in the overall plan because all significant decisions at Chelsea need to be approved by Feliciano Eghbali and also by Boehly. Right now, the best way to characterize the relationship between Eghbali and Boehly is as amicable and professional. Reports state that Clearlake and Eghbali are here to stay. They have not had any discussions on selling any shares and they have no desire to do so. Clearlake currently seems fully devoted to Chelsea, and Eghbali has been setting the example. This season, he has attended all 3 Premier League games and he was heavily involved in the transfer window recruitment strategy. It is reasonable to assume that Clearlake will acknowledge their errors were made during the previous 2 years and that efforts and outcomes need to be improved. They would contend that Chelsea is once again on the correct track to contend for championships because they have implemented many of the necessary adjustments. Boehly is not in charge, yet he is devoted to Chelsea. Although he has his own opinions about how a football team should be managed, the fact that someone else owns 61.5% of Chelsea means he will never be able to make the final decisions there. If Boehly decides to go, rumor has it that Eghbali and ClearLake will be willing to purchase his shares. Given that Eghbali refuses to sell, it is hard to see how Boehly will win out. The important question is, why aren't they getting along? For one, it isn't a romantic comedy, this is modern football. Instead of buying clubs to create friends, foreign investors buy them to make money. The falling out between Eghbali and Boehly is not the first, nor will it be last, instance of two extremely wealthy individuals disagreeing about how to operate a corporation. Despite the negative perceptions, PR and communication experts will tell you that one benefit of working in club football is that there's always a new match around the corner. Instead of discussing what is occurring in the boardroom, fans would rather discuss what is happening on the field. As long as the team is winning, everything else is irrelevant. What are your thoughts on this matter? Do you think Boehly will gain a major shares, or do you think that ClearlakeCapital will gain Boehly's shares in the club? Do you think they will reconcile and be able to continue together? I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers, Chelsea fans.